do have my quick slides, which I try not to bore you much even the slides. Still, let's see if you get some cue out of it. Let me share my screen. All right. So that's the topic for the day today. And I have two guest speakers with me also, by the way, and I'll introduce them in a short while. I'll keep their names secret, right? And they can introduce themselves much better than I do. So I'll just get them introduced in a while. But before that, a quick thought process for me today was very simple. No jazzy presentations, a very simple thought process about the the pattern for the new examination. Why is it changing, first of all, and what you should do, what you should not do ideally. That's it. So a quick intro, talk about the PMI and PMBOK, old and new pattern, how the exams look like, what kind of questions you may expect in the exam. There are different kinds of questions, the plan for preparation, and many of you, those who have gone through the my presentations earlier, would know the plan, and that sacrosanct remains as is, nothing change. So feel free, in case you've seen me, heard me, feel free in case you want to go mute and take a nice nap. Okay, absolutely feel free. Even if you can just mute yourselves and just go and have grab a cup of coffee or tea, right? And finally, things to remember. All right. So let's start. I'm not going to go into my profile, okay, because that's not important. I think what important is those who are not aware. I'm hoping that everybody is aware of PMI. So I'll first of all take that assumption. Those who are not aware of a PMI can obviously go to pmi.org. But even those who are aware, probably you might not be aware of the left-hand side of what I'm showing here in the screen right now. And that's guys, whenever I look at it, okay, it gives me a goosebumps. You know why? Think through it. Just look at the third last line from the bottom in the blue screen. That's the reason I made a different color. Third last line in a bottom. 7 billion people in the world. And are we just talking about 1.5 million PMP certified project professionals? Absolute incredible opportunities, guys. Incredible. Whenever I look at it, I said, why PMP is still top 10 in Google when you Google it out? And that's incredible. I can't just stop thinking. The way we have been evolved over the years, it's not even 1 point. Sorry, my apologies. I just didn't look at, because these are latest May numbers. I thought it moved from 1.1 to 1.5, but it was 1.51 in March. It's still 1.15 in March. It's not 1.5. It's just 1.1 million people. Should we say shame or an opportunity? The choice is yours, right? Because I still strongly believe in the new examination format of Agile, so I would rather say choice is yours. Think through it. Okay, that's about PMI. A quick about the evolution of PMBOK, the heart and mind, both of PMI. The professional body of knowledge, which we also call standards, standard, and that's become a standard and a guide, fortunately, which 7th edition is separating out. Okay, 7th edition is separating the standard from the guide. But here my whole proposal is not to even talk about 7th edition. First, the pointer number 1, those who have questions in your mind about 7th edition, don't even think about it right now. Okay, have a laser sharp focus. 7th edition doesn't impact you this year. Okay, believe me. So what we have is a 6th edition. Okay, which is the latest one here, right? So this is the evolution of how the PM POC from the PMI typically targeted towards the PMP professional certified folks or to be certified folks. And even if you do the certifications, right, in the PMP, those who are already certified, you can always contribute to the 8th edition, which and the call those who are PMI members, the call for the call for nominations or call for their introductions, etc., will be announced soon, because they will start the journey of next 5 years or hopefully 4 years. You never know, they might catch the timelines about the 8th edition of the PM book. Okay, so be ready for that as well in case you are interested as a volunteer though. So why is it changing? So guys, I'll just take your questions in the end, because this is a webinar which is a very short webinar. I really don't want to talk ideally more than 25 minutes and give opportunity to my friends who are here today to give their experiences. The primary reason I've got the guest speakers today only for that, so that they can vouch their experiences, they can share their experiences, their knowledge, how did they go through, what are the challenges, and then we all benefit, you and I alike. So why this change in 2nd January 2021 onwards? This change was in fact on the radar since 2020 beginning in the mind of PMI. Why? Because the agility, typically business agility. I am not talking about when you talk about agile as an IT concept, information technology, software language. No, I'm not talking about that kind of a framework on agile. I'm talking about agile in the sense dynamism in the business environment. I'm talking about agile from business perspective primarily. This was there in their mind. 2019, when they acquired Discipline Agile Consortium, DSC, what we call it as, and there was the great co-founders of the Discipline Agile Consortium, Scott Embler and Mark. So both of them, Mark Lyons and Scott Embler, had this thought that your PMBOK and in the PMP certification and the Discipline Agile certification, which they introduced, they do not even talk to each other. But your project managers in the real world, they often talk to each other. One single project manager might be doing a traditional project and agile projects. How do we make these frameworks talk to each other? Because otherwise there's going to be 180-degree out of phase. That's what the culmination of the germ, which ignited their thoughts 2019 after even probably just before the DAX consortium's acquisition by PMI globally. And this is where this change of mindset happened, looking at the combination of the traditional and agile background, whereby they introduced so-called agile concept, right, into the PMBOK. Okay, but yeah, if you look at your 6th edition, they already had this in 2017, right, at a initial level. What they didn't have, your examination format, which was 80 to 90% questions focused only on the traditional project management or a waterfall type of a project management, right? They were only focused on that. Agile would be hardly 5 to 10% max in the examination format that you had before December end. Okay, but come January 2nd, the whole ball game changed, and most of you are quite aware of this. 50% of agile questions in the new examination and 50% on traditional. That's or hybrid. Hybrid meaning traditional plus agile both combined together. So this change of mindset changed the whole ballgame all of a sudden. But of course, there was a good amount of communication which was done by PMI, by the partners like us, and many people, right, to the communities. So that was the change. So what is the new content, the new examination pattern, right? Before I get into this, okay, let me put up a quick question to you. Do you think, those who are not aware, do you think there is a tremendous change or the addition of the concepts Or you think this is just a repackaging of the 6th edition into the new model? What do you think, guys? You can put in your chat. There's a change, which is expected. It's a repackaging. Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. All right. So it's basically combined, right? There is some new additions added, which you might not find in PMBOK and the Agile Practice Guide as well. That's something which has been added, and I'll talk more about that. And most of them you might find it's a repackaging of the old stuff. Okay, but a slide in front of you, right, gets you a complete new methodology altogether. Okay, now let me explain this to you. What you had earlier, those who are at least aware, you saw this, right? Those who are aware, those who are not aware, just relax, just chill. You don't need to go through change then. Nothing changes then for you. Those who are even not aware what was there in PMBOK. So just chill and enjoy the session, right? But those who are aware, we had this breakup. If you look at books like PMBOK, Rita Mulcahy, etc., you'll find this breakup over. Right? This was the kind of a weightage given. 5 process group interviews. So you have a 5 domains primer in terms of process groups, and we literally didn't call them as domains. We just said 5 process groups. But now those 5 process groups are actually converted to the domains. 3 domains: 1, people, process, business environment. And do you see the right-hand side breakup? Well, you know what? When I looked at it, because just like you in the, you're taking a new examination, certification, preparation, or you embark upon. Literally, I as a trainer also had to go through the change, of course, right? So I also had to get certified. So when I was having a look at it, I said the first line itself, people 42%. And I was like, should I say amazing? Or, oh no, please. It depends on you. For me, it was amazing because I always had been a people manager. And I strongly believe your P for project stays till the time you have P for people. If you don't have a P for people, come what may, you alone can't do it. Let's understand. Even the small project, you might need some help. May not be a direct team member. You might need to depend. That's where we become interdependent, right? You had a dependence earlier on few people. You became independent after that. And now we have become interdependent in this world of 21st century, fortunately. The process part is 50%, which means this 5 process group, you see it, it's been only focused or repackaged up to half. And the business environment, something outside the world of projects, which it's internal or external to the business and to the organization, it's been put in business environment. Okay, this is the change. Now let me explain you what is the domain, task, and enablers within this. So there is something called ECO, examination content outline, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. And this is exactly what the examination content outline talks. ECO is a new document. It's freely downloadable on pmi.org website. It talks about all the 3 domains. Now, what are the domains? You saw the 5 process groups in the previous format, correct? Domains are nothing but the primary 3 targets: people, process, business, environment, right? Which are defined or distributed into 2 more. These domains, if you look at the earlier PMBOK, you had 10 knowledge areas, correct? So if you look at 10 knowledge areas like scope, integration management, scope management, scheduling management. These domains, 10 knowledge areas, 5 process groups, combination of 3, all those into only 3. Within those domains, you have a tasks. Tasks are nothing but responsibilities of the PMs, right? Within each domain. So you might have a multiple task in each of the domain, right? Each of multiple responsibilities. And every task or those tasks will have enablers under it. What are the enablers? Actions that a PM takes to achieve, along with a team, to achieve those responsibilities primarily. For example, let's break down the first domain. Okay, let's say the first domain is people. Okay, you just saw that. Within people, you have a task or responsibility called build a team. Okay, which is a task 1, for example. Okay, the task is further distributed into something called enabler, which is nothing but action in terms of how do I build a team. So when I say how to fulfill that enabler or to fulfill that action, enabler would be divided into tools and deliverables. I say that, okay, appraise stakeholders, right? When I say appraise stakeholders and really put a question how on the appraise stakeholders, there will be some tools, right, which can convert the appraise stakeholder part to some deliverable or to some outcome. How do I fulfill my responsibility of building a team, right, using action called just appraise? But if I just say appraise a stakeholder, say, please, first of all, explain us the English meaning of appraise. Is it that appraisal of the people? May not necessarily be, yeah, but it's English term. You might say that appraise stakeholder, fine, how do you do that? So there are the tools. These are the same tools like you had ITTO, those who are aware of it. ITTO, input tools, technique, output. But those ITTO are no longer to be seen as is in your new examination, right? So those who are having a backlog of those ITTO, oh my God, we have to remember ITTO, we have to mug up the ITTOs, gone are the days. I never mugged up. I did my PMP certification in 2007. I never mugged up. Even then also, it was just understanding. Luckily, I had a nice flowcharts, right, or process diagrams in the notes. So these are the tasks, for example, for the first domain called people. Like these are the 14 responsibilities under people. And this task correspondingly, all together, correspond to 42% of your questions in your exam. 42% questions on 14 tasks or 14 responsibilities major. Okay. Similarly, domain 2, you have 17 responsibilities for process. This is like 50%. You saw those the earlier examination format on the process based and the knowledge area based. This is exactly this 50% targeted towards them. If you look at, in fact, if you look at the content also, those who are aware of the content, you will really appreciate, yeah, exactly, this is what it is. But the scope is now reduced only to half. And the remaining scope of 8% is towards little beyond your projects. This is where you grow up. You grow up to the leadership level, and you saw the new triangle. Most of you, I'm sure you would have seen the triangle is no longer cost, schedule, and scope. It's no longer the CST triangle, or it's no longer a 7 constraint triangle anymore. It is a new triangle which talks about the domain in terms of technical knowledge or skills. Second, it talks about interpersonal skills or leadership abilities. And the third, it talks about really about your people skills. These are the performance oriented domain or a people skill oriented domain. Those are the 3 different kinds primarily. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly show you the sources for the preparation for a new examination and come to immediately or directly to my project plan for you guys. So what PI did, a lot of you might not be aware, they created a new 403 pages or 404 pages manual we called students manual or students guide, only to cater to this new examination format. Very unfortunately, just like your PMBOK and your Agile Practice Guide, which are available for the members to get freely download, This is not available free of cost. You have to register for the PMP examination with any of the authorized training partner like us, and then only you get this. One of the best source of examination is this, and that covers 5 lessons. So basically, without getting confused, those 3 domains are divided into 5 lessons. That's all, nothing else. From the ease of use perspective, right? If you just look at the headings of this 5 lessons, you'll come to know that except the first one, okay, you'll really realize this, that remaining are, most of them are some kind, in terms of, some kind of very familiarity towards that, okay? Except the first one. Now, when I talk about these 5 lessons, these 5 lessons is or are mapped to those 3 domains, and each lesson have got some kind of topics under it. So if you look at this, if I go back to this, okay, this is called lesson in your manual, that is student prep manual which we just saw. This is called topic, and this is called enabler as enabler. So this doesn't change. So there is a mapping from what is, as is mapping from domain to lesson, tasks to topics, enablers to enablers. They remain the same. Ultimately, it's nothing but regrouping of the same exam content outline into the way you study in the student's manual. That's all. Okay. So just wanted to ensure that you do understand this as well. Now, the very important one, your examination source. Okay, very essential. I think it's pretty simple. There could be multiple sources, guys. I'm not saying this is the only one, or these are the only 3 options. There could be 10 different options. My suggestions always, right, based on so many people getting passed out, I saw, primarily are these 3. When I did my PMP, I didn't have anything. I just had PMBOK. Yes, fortunately, we had a retire as well. Fortunately, yes. But I only had those 2. That's it. So, but now you have this 4 different things available with you. So, option 1, either you take PMBOK 6th edition. Once again, nothing to be worried about 7th edition right now. If you are even thinking about, oh my God, the PMBOK 7th edition is launched, what do? I don't have a preparation. I have not gone through my previous course. I do not I've not taken a course into 7th edition or 6th edition or 5th edition. Don't just worry about it yet. Your examination is still valid on 6th edition. That's it. Remove 7th edition out of your mind right now, if you are focused on your examination. Those who are already done PMP certification, guys, please go and adventure through the 7th edition. It's beautiful. Really, it's wonderful. The kind of the repackaging it's been done. I think Ashish did a webinar. I don't know how many of you were available yesterday. He covered this up in the webinar yesterday. But yeah, please go through that. Literally good. But those who have not PMP certified yet, just think there is no edition of 7th edition yet. Okay. So PMO 6th edition, first option, and Agile practice guide like this. It could be a separate. It is a separate guide. Okay. Though there are pages at the back end of this as well on the Agile. And of course, this is a manual. This is a mandatory. This is mandatory in all the 3 options. The student manual, which is this one which you see here, but it's not freely downloadable even for the PMI members. You have to register with the ProThoughts. The PMI is global ATPs like us. So the second option is Rita Mulkai 10th edition. Especially, you can see this band. This is a 10th edition, which has a Agile content a bit about it. If not this much, it has. But since it doesn't have too much of that Agile, you have to have this, because in students' manual they have got a lot of agility concepts, and last option, Rita Mulkai 9th edition. If you have an older edition, you don't need to worry about the 10th edition. Okay, new one, it's okay. You can still do it, but ensure then you refer to this apart from this. So 9th edition plus this and students menu, this one. Okay, clear? I'll come back to question and answers if you have in a while. But let me focus on few very key areas before I go to the Q&A. Okay, this is the examination strategy. I'm directly jumping onto exam strategy right now, and then I'll talk about how the examination type, etc. What kind of questions asked, and we have two experienced champions as well here. So let's talk about this. I've got 3 months plan for you. Okay, you can even think about first 2 months also, but not less than 2 months. I would not suggest. I would rather suggest take your time, not more than 3 months for sure, because then you will never be able to do it. You will always procrastinate. Okay, so in first 4 weeks, if you are registering with ProThoughts, of course, assuming that, the first 4 weeks very simple. Once you have gone through this training course of the 4 days that you have on a weekends that ProThoughts does, or the evening batch of 9 days that we take 4 hours a day, either of that, if once you finish, just revise your content and then listen to the recording. Okay, that we have done, of course, and in parallel students manual that we any which ways give. We give it to free of course because you are already registered with us. You paid the fees for with PMI. Okay, list down your doubts. This ideally should be taking first couple of weeks. You see my mouse cursor moving? Ideally supposed to be first 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, a light reference, a mock reference, read, block read, right? Skimming strategy on this. Okay, either this or this, and try your first mock test given by us, 180 questions. That's first 4 weeks. Second 4 weeks, now since you've gone through this, you have an understanding. Okay, do not do a mistake, by the way, of doing this parallel. I mean, the student's manual and PMBOK or RITA in parallel, handing you over. Don't do that. You get confused. Focus on this first 2 weeks, next 2 weeks, this one. Next 2 weeks in second month when you start, now take a deep dive. Take a deep dive either in RITA or PMBOK, whichever option you choose. And now you do your thorough analysis here. Identify your weak points, weak areas, questions, etc., etc. You will always reach out to the people in ProThoughts, including me. And then take second mock test. Okay, try to do a trend analysis, compare the scores. 180 questions again. Whenever you take this mock test, please ensure that you take one sitting. It's my recommendation. Okay, one sitting of 4 hours. And the next one, the last 3, these are kind of an optional at times in case you're very smart and very confident in 8 weeks. Okay, not a problem. The third 4 weeks, those who are not so risk prone or risk aggressive, for them, master the art last month. Okay, you can take only first 2 weeks and appear for the exam as well. It's okay. So it's 2.5 months there. Final run through this content. Again, you will have a very quick, not in detail. Go through all. By this, then your all doubts should have been clear. Obviously, it's understood. Shouldn't have any more doubts. Sorry. And then some more materials on the PMI low choice platform when you registered. This is like a PMI logical operations. It's a outsourced body of PMI within PMI itself, of course, when you actually download the student's manual from that particular platform. So there are many other things, many other kind of the material which has been available over there, including some nice videos. And then, of course, take third mock test. And take fourth mock test if required. I would rather recommend 3 on the safer side, not 4. But yes, you always can improve on the 4. Taking 4th if you think that you need it. If you think that you're not improving, right? If you're not improving by any chance, then go back. It doesn't make sense to just keep talking the mock test, right? Don't waste your time because you'll get demoralized. and I really don't want to get any mock test. Stop at second mock test. Check why. Ask that 5 whys. Check twice. Right? All right. So that was the exam preparation. Now, quick one, those who are not aware of the registration for the exam by any chance, is a very quick flow for the examination registration. You take this 4-day course or 9-day course, apply to the PMI, right, with a very standard, and of course, ProThoughts help you out with a standard format and even the reviewing the formats as well in your application. Receive the 5 or 10 business days. At times, it may take 10 if the application load is too much. If approved, exam fee, and of course, different countries have now the different currencies. Now, in India, for example, it's available in INR. A lot of countries it's available respective currencies now. Okay, those who are PMP members, for them 23,000 INR, or in a US dollar 405 US dollars, and those who are non-members of PMI, for them 42,000 INR and 555 US dollars. Okay, FYI. Okay, once you have paid the fee, you get a confirmation, you get a registration number, and then appear for the exam, whether offline or online. And I'll talk about offline, online very quickly, and be ready for the good news. This is a time where I would like first to open up this for my guest speakers who are badly waiting for me. And Robin, why don't you go? I'm going to okay, you are anyway. You can unmute yourself and switch on your video if possible, and I can probably pin you here. Go ahead, Robin. Ravindra, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'll just.
Perfect.
So, hi. Good evening to everybody. It's morning time for me here right now. I'm sitting out of US and been here for a short, came here for a short stint and then stayed back because of the COVID situation. First of all, I think credit goes to Saurabh. My background is a little different. We keep talking about different. I'm more of a business development and a business operations guy. In fact, for the last 31 years, post my initial education of doing my BSc and then my MBA, I've been into business development and business operations. And the reason why I'm doing this, I'm first share with you in terms of my background and then my approach to this whole thing and why I wanted to do it. Having said that, so my job that I started off with was an initial stint with Citibank in Bombay in the Fort branch.
Okay, Robin, I've just stopped sharing my screen so that people can view you. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, so the whole aim of the exercise was that my background told me that I'm a BD guy and a business operations guy, and I need to bring some value to the system the way I am. And at my age of being 55 years, and 31 years of experience, I just needed to reinvent myself. And as far as the jobs are concerned, started off with in Citibank in Bombay Fort branch, worked with paint industry for a few years, again into business, purely into sales and business profile. Moved on to work with Kodak. We did their first FMCG distribution setup in India for the films, and then worked with Canon cameras as the marketing manager, launched their cameras and stuff like that. Post that, I again went back to paints for a few years. And then for 12 odd years, I worked with an offshore development center, an hardcore IT company, which changed my thought process in terms of, how things were evolving in India at that point in time. And and then again, I worked with a media house for a couple of years, a typical vernacular media house as a business head. And couple of stints, a couple of years, I did with HCL as head of operations for FI and SI in HCL Infosystems, and then the last stint was as the chief operating officer of a company which provides IPv6 training and certification along with International Telecom Union. Now, In between also, I had a flavor of trying to do my own set up my own business. So try to be an entrepreneur, which didn't work out the way we thought it should. But what I realized was that in today's world and scenario, especially for somebody like me, I've been associated with project management, people who've been doing it, and as an ongoing basis. But somewhere, we business guys and operations guys, somewhere there would be a real disconnect. Sometimes a disconnect in the sense that we felt that we were not being able to reach out to each other in the way we need to, and um, there was a definite need from a BD and an operations perspective to have the discipline that project management brings into the whole system. Thinking through, we do our own thinking through, but we do set up our own tools and solutions. We do work with different topics the way we need to. We do say that we know the stakeholders, but I think this comprehensive understanding from a project management perspective is important. And last but not the least, the agility involved, especially in today's scenario, you along with having this project understanding with the agility to perform on the fly or deliver products or value to the customer is very imperative to survive in today's environment. So that was a little bit about myself.
Thanks, Robin. I mean, I just was wondering, what did you do to crack? Because we just I think it's probably about a couple of months. And what made you crack so really in a cracking manner? If you can just impart your great thoughts with the others, probably even if I get excited, I'm really excited to hear this. I'll probably recertify myself in 7th edition, by the way. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm sorry, I took a little more time in trying to tell you where I was coming from, though. That's because okay. It was building a context and take a very short time on this. So when I actually spoke to Saurabh, when I started checking out what I wanted to do, and I got in touch with ProThoughts, and then your first webinar that I attended in terms of the training is when I really saw value. And I like from where you were coming from. You were actually being you're linking us to the business environments. So I thought this is really what I want to do, and that's I came. Now when I started approaching this, for me it was very simple, in the sense I tried to keep it simple for myself, because I knew what my strengths were, and what I could work with. And I did not carry any baggage in terms of having tried to do it earlier, so I had that advantage. And of course, I also had the time at my disposal, frankly speaking, that I could do it. So while I wanted to build my knowledge, I also wanted to ensure I get my certification. I was very clear about it. It's not just having knowledge. I want to certify it, that I have a stamp, that I have that knowledge. And then I got into it, clearly focusing on the 3 areas that we talked of, the way, Saurabh had very nicely put it up to us. I did not think too much. I was not carrying anything in terms of, the earlier breakup and how it was being looked at. And within those 3 areas, the people, the processes, the business, within that, I knew that for me, people and business is what I was good at. And I understood that. That's what I'd been doing all these years. Processes, I had a feel for it, but not to the extent probably. So that was my definitive area of, self-development. And I sat down and made a timetable for myself. And that was something which I did want to do it. For a day, right from that, weekly, like the way you're saying, week 1 to week 4, and then week 5 to week 8, and then week 9 to week 12. I had also set up a daily chart on a daily basis, what I'm going to do, so that I can map myself on a daily basis on where I've reached in terms of my, what I decided for the day and what I've ended up doing at the end of the day. So if I'm carrying anything forward as a backlog, as we use it as a parlance now, I could take it forward to the next day and close it. I didn't want to take it too far ahead. So having known that, I then did focus on only 3 things. As the student manual, actually the key 3 things that we keep talking about here is actually for me to 3 plus 2, 5, was the student manual in the order that I'm talking of priority, the PMBOK, and the agile guide. Then the recordings that we had, that was my reference point, and the presentation that Saurabh had shared with us, in terms of, because that was a synopsis, that was an absolute synopsis of what we were trying to go through, and this is something I could relate to. So my first 4 weeks actually was basically trying to get a feel of the student manual, and then post that, I read through the student manual, made my notes, went back to the recordings. I didn't go to the recordings first. Actually, I first did the student manual reading. Then I went back to the recordings, related to it. Post that is when I started. And within that, I would start, those questions that would happen at the end of each lesson that was there. I would attempt it. Some we had done, some we had already done with Saurabh, some we would do additionally. And then I had downloaded a question bank. I did not take a mock test after the first 4 weeks. I actually downloaded some questions. I wanted to keep it, keep my motivation high. I said, if I try and do a mock test and things don't work out the way I want them to, I may just not feel enough motivation to, go to the next level. So I didn't do the mock test. So that was, I don't know, good or bad, but it kept me focused and I completed. Then I felt, yes, I'm probably doing the right thing. The next thing was that instead of spending just 4 weeks on the deep dive, I did a deep dive for a little more than that, because I knew again that I have to work on some of my more areas and really have more understanding. So I took about from week 5 to week 10 is what I really worked on the area that I needed to, and did a deep dive. Student manual, again, I went back to. I probably would have read it 3-4 times, to be honest with you. 3 times, definitely. I had made my notes. PMBOK would actually, PMBOK, I would actually refer to as a part of my question thereafter. I would use it as a Bible to go back to. So whenever I do a test, I would actually go back to it and say, okay, right or wrong, this is the way I want to do it. Agile guide was, something I started working on parallelly, because I felt that was my interest area. So those questions was what I kept downloading enough that I could, in terms of questions, wherever I could get hold of them online, I just kept on downloading them and did it. And then I went in for my mock test. The first mock test was after week 10. On actually week 10 is when week 11 is when I took my first mock test, and I said, okay, it was not as great as I thought it should have been, frankly speaking, but I said, okay, it still is in the right direction. I had actually set up certain benchmarks for myself that I want to get, let's say minimum 130, 140 right out of 180 if possible. So it was about 127, 128, which I said, okay, which is still nearer to 130, where I had put in a plus minus, like typically Saurabh would talk about any variances, so-called variances, if they are within the manageable level, then only that's fine. Otherwise, I'll escalate it the way it needs to be done. And week 11 and 12 was my going back to my just reading things once again. So I did one reading of my student manual. I did a reading of the PMBOK, just as a reading, a pure cursory reading. And I again went through the entire recordings that we had those, the 9-day session that we had with Saurabh. And parallelly every day I would take 2 hours solid for just doing tests, questions. Every day for 2 hours, I'd made it a religious thing that I will do at least 2 hours of tests. Pick up the questions, keep on doing the tests. Pick up the questions, because I wanted to build a flow in my mind, that the way that I want to approach it, whether it's right or wrong, and then refer to it, because it's all in the mind. Essentially, I think what I realized was that project management is, like very rightly said, is a mindset. It is definitely in your mind, and you are trying to create a business value. If you can put those two things together, keep it simple, make sure there's a business value, and you are being able to relate to it on a real life situation, I don't think you can really go that wrong. And then at the end of the day, businesses do not give you second chances. There are no second, in business, either you've done it or you're not done it. It's a simple, you cannot, unfortunately, this is a hard truth. If you do not have market share which is relevant, people will not give you the space that you're looking for or the response that you're looking for. So that's simple as that. So then I took my second mock test, and that was like not a good idea. I don't know if it works. It worked for me though. It was only about a week before, 4 days before my final taking up the final test, was I took my second mock test, which went off all right. I was not 100% satisfied, but it was definitely nearer to what I thought I should have been doing. What I did realize was that people and business, again, I was okay, doing all right, but processes needed to be worked on. So for 4 days, I went back to just looking at the processes and just doing the questions on it. And then on the 28th, took my test, and luckily things worked out. God has been kind. Things happened the way I was hoping they should, and pretty much got my certification. So lucky, two of them, it was like, yeah, definitely did more than average requirement. That was exceeded that. One was meeting it plus a little more, and what I've done is, after I've got my scores, and after I got my ratings and got my response post my test, I've identified for under all the three areas where I've not done the way I should have, as I put it up on my board, saying that I just need to keep on working on these as an ongoing process. So yes, it's then I've taken a fairly long time, but yes, this is what it's
so
all.
much, Robin. Absolutely fantastic. Nice to hear from you, Robin, and thanks a lot. I think the experience to others is going to be awesome, no doubt about it. So
Thank you.
let me go back to Chetan. Chetan, can you please unmute yourself and just have a little bit of introduction of yours and your experience in this attempt that you did? Fantastic, attempts, Chetan, as I know you. So please, if you can just share your experiences for the benefits of others. Chetan, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Am I visible?
Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, team, and thank you, ProThoughts, and thank you, Saurabh sir, for inviting me to share my experience on this platform. Actually, I'm really thankful for your wonderful training session. What we had means in the last year, we conducted. We had been attended your training at Ahmedabad, but unfortunately, due to the lockdowns, only the 2 sessions we had over there, and the remaining sessions you have carried out in the online sessions, and where we got the recordings of those the sessions, and I really thank you very much, because those were the key success, the mantras what I had. Because whenever I tried to go through the processes, I used to remind in what manner you have taught us during those sessions. It has helped us a lot, because now whenever we will be going through those the mock test and all, I used to just remind what all the concepts, in what manner the examples you have provided while training. So that has helped us a lot. And when I just cracked this exam in the last week, more about it was something like you had mentioned during your training session, that we have to be more practical while answering those questions. So that has helped us a lot, because nowadays, as there are many uncertainties or risk associated with all kind of projects, so we need to think in such a manner that we are handling some risk, and we are quite manageable with those kind of situations. So the questions were very much related to such kind only, because even we have to just go through those situations, and we have to realize that what all the uncertainties, the criticalities do we have at this moment. Based on that only, we need to mark right question, right answer. So I think that is one thing what I have. It was a great experience. And so regarding the mind mappings you have provided, those has helped us a lot, because it will be clearly, it is a diagrammatic view where we can easily recognize that what questions we can link out, and what could be the right answer for those such the tricky questions. So it has helped me a lot, and thank you very much. I appreciate your efforts in making us a good professional in terms of having this PMP certified. And I wish everyone to have this certificate as soon as possible. And it will be a great experience when you crack this exam. I have experienced a lot, and very recently I have cracked this, and I'm really very much happy on that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Chetan. Thanks for a wonderful short attempt of summarizing it so nicely, Chetan. And once again, congratulations and thanks for making up. Chetan told me that, I will not be able to make it, but somehow he squeezed in, and I seriously am thankful to you, Chetan, for making it. Robin, thanks a lot for your nicest journey that you shared. I'm going to quickly put some more question and answers open right now. Before I have few more slides which I can scroll through while I take your question and answer sessions as well. Those who want to know more about, because I've got way too many slides with me, and in terms of types of questions, probably I can do that while I take your question and answer. And while Robin and Chetan were talking, discussing about this, I was typing my answers. Those who have not seen the answers, please have a look at the answers as well. From them. So by the way, a very quick, before I take your questions, there are some types of examination questions. For example, those who have recently been through the training, those are aware what kind of a multi-choice, multi-option questions kind of you might be asked to choose any two instead of choose any one. That's a new change, right? Earlier you had only one choice out of 4 given, right? Of course, there's still no negative marking. That's a good news. But you can have choose 2 out of 4, choose 3 out of 5, choose at times 3 out of 6 as well. You never, depends on your luck, right? So if you look at this, this is choose 2. If you look at this again, there is no choice. That means any one. If it's not given in your examination, like choose 2 or 3, by default it's 1. It's a validated answer. So validated in the sense there'll be a validation in technical terms would be done. So you cannot even choose 2 if it's only 1, if there's nothing asked. Choose 2, choose 3 would be asked like this, right? That's one kind of a question. Other type of questions are scenario-based question. You'll be probably asked to choose which one is the right thing. This is just a sample. You'll be given 4 options, which option you have to pick through, suiting the best option. Another kind of questions are like hotspots question, whereby you'll be given a graphical scenario like this, and you'll be say that in which, of course, there's a baseline. Let's say this green bar is a schedule baseline, for example, right? Which is ideal schedule. Where does the schedule go from behind to ahead, for example? And obviously this point, but there is no point given here, for example. So you have to you might need to be very careful, either select this point or this point. You'll be given, in fact, there'll be no multiple choices, but there'll be few hotspots given to you. You just need to pick, it is so simple and easy. It's a complete graphical user interface on the screen itself, right? The lucky folks who have gone through this would have got this kind of a hotspot questions as well. And then this kind of things, we get back to the schools, right? Where your colleges, we say the fill in the blanks kind of formats. So these are the kind of questions which are being asked in the new examination format. A quick bifurcation. Generally, this is what I saw, because I seriously believe in this normal distribution, statistically proven in a real life also. I know ideal side, it will never be a bell curve which is centered at the mean. Definitely not in our real life. It will skewed bell curve, but examination patterns still kind of follow this bell curve, right? So this is the kind of a division of our questions. I might go a little overboard about probably 5-10 more minutes, guys, because I need to take some more questions for you. I'm just waiting for you to think about some questions so that I can come back to you. Simple questions like this, right? For example, ethics questions, the basic terminologies, straightforward ITTO questions. I told you, right? There's nothing called input tools, technique, output anymore. It's only application of upfront, and a very simple application concepts of the whatever ITTO so-called you would have read in PMBOK, in case you have read PMBOK or it. Medium complexity questions could be any of like this, right? For example, in what order? So you say sequence, and it could be picked up. What could happen next? So the keyword called next, keyword called best, double not, double negation kind of a questions. Question related to the tools and deliverables, part of the enablers that you saw. Specific vocab, which is obviously given behind students' manual. It's given behind RITA. It's given behind vocab. Everyone has a beautiful vocab. Please go through it. A particular scenario, you saw that, and of course, delineation of a project R&R. So those kind of questions could come in the exam. And a hard question, tough questions. Some of you already gone through my my mock questions, so you would probably know what kind of tough questions. It's highly situational, very highly, whereby a lot of exam, a lot of options are very close to each other. It's very difficult. In fact, there are not only two now, since there are 6 options, right? There'll be more than 2 options or 3 options more closer to each other. So those 3 options close to, or 4 options close to each other, it becomes, that's called a tricky question, right? So you might get tricky questions about 30% of them. So it's 30% easy, 30% tricky, 30% middle one. So quick, do not do this. Don't try your memory. I know you have a brilliant memory. Even if you have that, don't try. You common sense, absolutely. Don't just apply or a common sense which go beyond your framework. Don't do that, right? Knowledge of software tools do not come into handy into play. MS Project, Primavera, your Jira, Trello. This doesn't come to your help for that matter at all. Your knowledge of industry practices alone is not sufficient enough. So you might need to have wide variety of framework-based, and then you can apply to your situation, because the framework, when it was created, the question pattern itself, it's agnostic to the domain. It's agnostic because 10, 15 different domains in the real world, in our profession. How much of each specific, which is good news, of course. So you don't need to really bother about a domain, right? What you learn in the management school doesn't, compare. And of course, your analytical skills don't try it, right? So you need a situational skills to be analyzed, yes, for sure, but within the context of the PMP or within context of the framework, right? I'm going to stop here for a while. I'm going to leave this particular slide in front of you, right? And then I'm just going to come to your chat box in case you have more questions before we really talk about anything else. Let me go to a quick chat. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vinay. Niti, okay, good point. As you approach, ProThoughts team, of course, they will they will guide you in case you want to really have that, right? Please approach them. If you have gone through the ProThoughts training once, you said last year, if it was prior to ProThoughts, then of course they will consider the quite a good amount of discount for you to get registered, because you have to get formally registered again. Oh, thank you so much, Robin. Thank you so much for your nicest comments again. Julian, the slides will be provided at the end of the email. So Julian, we do not generally display, we put the slides on, but the recording of this kind of a webinar is really available on the ProThoughts website. So you can just pick up the recordings. Okay, the slides would not be there. Jaya says that I do not have 2-3 hours a day for the preparation. I can hardly find 1 hour per day. Good point. Jaya, you can, worst case situation, you can do that. The only challenge here is, we may procrastinate. I'll give you my real examples, guys. In my real life, 2006, I got to know about PMI. And I got associated with PMI Mumbai chapter, being a Mumbai guy. And yeah, Tushar, you can probably put your question, no doubt about it. Since you raised that, I'll just come to your question. Sorry. So I got my training also in 2006. You know what? Honestly, I did a good amount of procrastination, saying that, oh, I'm so busy, etc., etc. Understanding the fact that the organization which I was working is a MNC, it was an MNC company, of course, and I was being given an opportunity to be a first PMP certified professional in this organization. Bearing that, even not leveraging that opportunity, I didn't do it. And I spent 1 year, I have forgotten, in fact, I've forgotten the concepts, honestly. And I'm so honest, I forgot. I had to literally brush. Of course, I didn't have to do because the PMBOK third edition was PMBOK still third edition, 42 processes across 9 knowledge areas, but I still had to redo. I had to spend good amount of time with my interest. I really had to do that. So I would rather suggest soon as possible. I understand your constraint, but in the weekends, right? If you can spend 4 hours a weekend, 8 hours a weekend, try it out. There's no hard and fast rule of 3 months. There's a suggestion. Look at one of our friends who said 3 weeks he did. Mind blowing, right? Nidhi, thank you so much for your experience. Absolutely. And a lot of people, we do procrastinate, including me. And I repent those days, 14 years back. I still repent. Why did I do it? I could have a cost benefit leverage of, because moment I got my PMP certified, I was the first in my department. The race was like this. Believe me. Today, there is almost like 22 to 25% raise for a PMP certified professional in salary pack. Forget about a promotion A promotion was also lost. Sriram asked, will exam pattern and study material are the same for the whole 2021? It is, Sriram, it is. Thank you so much, Chetan. Thank you so much for wow comment. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Chetan. Harsha says, can you please say some more references where you can find some free mock test? Okay, Harsha, I'm not sure if you're registered with ProThoughts, we give 4 mock tests any which ways. If you're not registered with ProThoughts, I'll suggest go to the Rita Mulkai. There is a beautiful mock test available, of course, at a cost. I will never advocate for free mock tests. Sorry, Harsha, I'm really sorry, but I'm not a guy because I don't trust quality. I don't trust quality of the free mock tests. I trust my own mock test, which fits the develop in ProThoughts. I can trust that. Because we take a lot of time. People might say, sorry, your mock test is not coming out soon. You don't want to be competitive game. I want to be on a qualitative game. Money we have earned a lot in last 6 years. We've gone to the four places in international markets already. We don't care about that much. What we care about is quality. That's the reason we are premier ATP section. So I'm sorry about, but if you hurt you on your answer somehow, but I don't advise free mock test. If you have to go to a paid sites, mock test site, there will be a lot of paid mock tests. I would personally suggest Rita mock test, and then you can download directly Rita mock test. Right? Some of the nicest questions in Rita book itself, 25 questions at each of a knowledge area. There are 10 knowledge area. You'll get 250 questions just like that. Right? To be focused further in the task, all the domains. Will be focused further in task for all domains for people. Yes, Vinay. Vinay, thank you for asking the questions. I will not suggest you do a Pareto. Focus on that. Even if the business environment has 8%, still learn something out of it. Learn something out of that, because that's very important for all of us. Because some concepts, like I'll tell you those, 2 change management areas, which is not there in your PMBOK and Rita also, right? Example of that, Kotter 8 change model. Kotter, John P. Kotter, the great management guru, he talks about organization change, moving beyond Vinay from the traditional change management, integrated change control system that we all follow. In terms of a change, raise a change request, get it approved, do an impact analysis, get it approved through the change control board whenever they meet, once in a week, twice in a week, etc. Beyond that, John Kotter have a 8-step process for organization change, which is not available anywhere. Read that. It's beautiful learning. How do I step up beyond my PMBOK? That's my next webinar coming in September, sorry. Please do attend, guys, because I am going to talk about the journey of PMP certified to the CEO of a company. How do you become a PMI or a PMP certified to a CEO? September, watch for the headlines in your emails or in your chat boxes. I keep uploading on the chats like this whenever I have new webinar. So Vinay, yes, focus. Do not say, okay, I only go for 8% to business and 42% on people. To probably not do it. Study fully, everything, cover to cover. Let me go to some more questions. Murli, thank you so much. Come and ask about the Andy Grove book. Come and good book, no doubt about it. Andy Grove is an author who's go long years back. You can even refer. They can help it. Right? My personal suggestion when I did 2007, I don't think I had Andy Grove then in the 3rd edition of PMBOK. But it came afterwards. So I looked at it. And when I compared with Rita, I honestly like Rita. My personal suggestion, but Andy Grove is good. Andy Grove, even, I found it very easy actually. It's a very easy read. I found it because I had that book. So I did an analysis between the two years back. It can help if you have it. But I would suggest that if you have Andy Grove, it may not have Agile. So please get Agile practice guide as well. If you don't read PMBOK, it's okay, right? But at least read Agile practice guide in that case. Rita and Andy should be okay. Should be fine. Who asked between Rita and PMBOK, which one is the slightly better? Who? Obviously, I go for Rita. Because I'll tell you why. This is slightly better. This is my personal perception. The very heavy promoter of PMI at core at heart. My personal perception of Rita because one, it's explanatory. PMBOK is a standard. It's a reference book. Iqbal asking, what do you suggest or advise for Agile subject to take up in the exam if I have no knowledge on Agile previously? Iqbal, the people who come to me and to many ATPs like us, most of the people do not have Agile knowledge. 75% of them, Iqbal. They learn during those 4 days or 9 days, 4 days full time for 9 days part time, or they learn after that, Iqbal. So really nothing to worry about it. Fortunately, I got a practical chance to implement my Agile projects, to work on Agile projects. But even I came from traditional world. Out of my 27 years experience, I never had this earlier, 2 decades back. I never had that experience, or 1.5 decades back. I completely came from UP. At least I can, I've got myself enabled to, at least I can explain people, right? What is Agile estimation method, or probably what is the planning poker, how does it work? At least I can apple to apple. Those Agile folks who are really experienced one day-to-day practice, they may know Scrum, they may know SAFe much more than me, no doubt about it. But my journey to Agile through the world of Scrum, through the world of Kanban, and to the world of discipline, taught me a lot, Iqbal. So nothing to worry about it. Those who do not have Agile experience, absolutely nothing to worry about it. Ask your fellow colleagues who are here, who have already gone through this kind of a 4-day or 9-day courses. Initially, it's difficult. Of course, everything is difficult, right? Those guys who have done the the CSM certification, they may not understand what is a scope creep. Now, what is a scope creep coming out from? A world of tradition, right? Even those who are the practical project managers, non-PMPs, do not know what is scope creep. They come to this kind of course. Oh, this is a scope creep. It's called uncontrolled scope changes. Yes, it is. They don't even know baselines. And their organizations all keep talking about baselines. Wonderful question. Thank you for asking. Superb. Look at Manoj. I don't need to talk anything beyond that. Thank you, Manoj. It is all here. It's all here. It's a mindset. Correct. Absolutely, it's a mindset. I had a one small statement somewhere in one of the slides. It was saying that I mentioned this 90% it's a mindset, 10% is a preparation. Right? 90% is a mindset. Guys, there is a poll coming up. If you can just be kind enough to quickly put in your poll as well while I answer your questions. My goodness, there are so many still there on the, so already half an hour plus, 20 minutes. Thank you so much, guys, for still being available. And I can, till the time, I'm not going away. Those who are hungry, really need a tea or coffee break, you can still quickly go back. And I'm still here for Q&A. I can still be here till the time you have a Q&A. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I'm not stopping this session. Okay, that's the good news. But those who say that, okay, this is enough from Saurabh. Either we do not believe him or we now believe him more than enough. Feel free to drop. Let me take some more questions. Jitendra said PMP expiry in your certificate currently is valid. Yes, Jitendra, it's valid for 3 years. Absolutely. Every 3 years, Jitendra, you have to renew your PMP certification by doing two things. You don't need to again sit for the exam of 7th edition. Okay? No, you don't. What you do, you pay $105 and collect 60 PDUs. PDUs are project development units. Like this one, this webinar give you one PDU. I've already pasted the PDU code for it. And we do just like 3-4 webinars at least a month. Even if you attend these webinars, right, your job is done for 3 years. And we don't have any intention to stop these webinars for sure. Right? And many people just come for PDUs as well. In fact, they earn PDUs. But in the back end, they get some knowledge also. If not for full 45 or 30 minutes, they still be attentive for 20 minutes. It's okay. Right? My focus is to impart what I know and honestly what I know. That's it. Something that I don't know probably will I learn from. Jitendra, it's not 16-year validity. Every 3 years I got renewal. That's what it says. Okay, that's what it says. PMP exam based on 6th edition will get to mix up things. Okay, I take this question. Agikbal, I answer your question. All right, so first class, thank you so much for your nice polls, guys. And just one more thing, one more request and one more poll, if you can. This is interesting poll, guys. Don't skip this poll. This is with a little thought process. I created this for you with a little thought process. Read those 3 questions. Spend maybe 2 minutes, ma'am, on that. Good. Generally we upload it on the websites. So you might. Generally, otherwise it will come in YouTube. Right, and once it comes with YouTube, you'll if you're subscribed to ProThoughts YouTube channel, you automatically get an intimation. So just click the bell button hit the bell button on your YouTube channel of ProThoughts, and you'll get this. I keep getting it, a lot of videos intimation that this has been uploaded. So I'm part of it. So those who would want a recording of this, will generally be published on YouTube so that everybody can benefit, right? Carmen, thank you so much. Perfectly fine. Please feel free and drop. Any more questions? I'll be still waiting. Those who do not have a questions, I can still share some more slides for online versus offline. Those who want to go online, right, and offline, there are two modes of attempting. I'm sure if you're offline, right, please ensure that you carry a couple of ID cards. Generally one should be sufficient. Examination is through 230 minutes 180 questions. Every 60 question there is a break, right, of 10 minutes, which is not counted in your overall time. Okay, so it's basically 230 minutes plus 40 minutes generally, and so total 270 minutes. One more thing, you need to ensure that if you mark some of the questions, then you cannot come back once you have gone through the first break, right? So please remember that. So if you go through the first phase of 60 questions, okay, and they tend to take, before taking a break, okay, ensure that all those marked for review questions are answered. Otherwise, you will not be able to get it back. I'm hoping I'm getting clear when I talk about that. Amit, Aditya was asking, should I be worried if I start preparing now, take 3 months? Okay, Amit, I think I answered the question. Ravi, thank you so much. Udaya, which PM box? 6th, absolutely 6th, Udaya. That's answer to the question, right? I can just type it as well for you in case you're not able to see that. Okay. So please let me know in case you have any question on examination format or the pattern, etc. I can help you with. Feel free, right? So this last statement is very important. Don't let's say if you have a difficult questions in the first 60 questions, let's say 5 questions you mark for review, right? No negative marking, so select whatever nearest best option that you can, and then come back to review. But ensure that before 60th question, ideally 59th question, remind yourself. Exam will not remind you. Remind yourself about it. Okay. Please, if you have any more questions on the online versus offline, please feel free and ask. Which pattern? Niti, I honestly would believe offline pattern, because online have a risks. For example, your bandwidth. Okay. For example, application software which is required to be installed. You yourself need to install the application which will be given to you from the PMI. You can download. That will have to be installed. Right. Third, you need a very closed room. Right. You need a closed room. You cannot have anybody entered into the room. You need an uninterrupted 4 hours, and because it's there will be a absolute no invigilation done, because there will be invigilator 4 hours involved with you. If he sees you, you have to have your camera of course on for all 4 hours. If he sees you or she sees you with any material, so you need to show the table, etc. Right? If he sees with any material, it probably might break your exam. Right? So there are few risks. That's the reason I only with one COVID risk, probably I can take now that risk and go offline. But yeah, the benefit of online is it's easy to register. It's easy to book the time slot, because you don't have unlike 2 time slots per day in offline, you have a choice. You have many choices available throughout, right? Cherry, you just in your YouTube, just type ProThoughts. There's only one channel for ProThoughts, Cherry. Try that. Love that. Niti, where do you get a PMI? On PMI.org, provided you are a member. If you're a member, you can download free of cost in the standards bar, right? You can do that. Any more questions? Let me skip and go to some online journey that you might want to look at in case you are interested further. Sorry. Yeah. Expert says this. And I think I had one more slide which actually talking about. Let me just. Yeah, this was the slide which I really wanted to show you. And this statement, mindset and self-esteem, two parts. For your exam perspective, as Manoj rightly said, it's all about mindset when you talk about Agile, right? It's all about mindset. Wow. So thank you so much for putting on a poll. Wonderful. Let me. Wow, this is awesome. 37%, 34%. Excellent. Thank you so much for this. I can understand that. 50% says this. No worries. So once you get into the groove, once you start preparation, right, you'll probably get into the deep dive, and then you realize the power. I enjoyed my journey with a new examination pattern. Many of, like Robin, right, and Chetan, many of you got clear, including Manoj, a couple of more. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for taking the first mover advantage, getting this clear. And remaining, also my request is don't procrastinate. Take a jump. You'll get to know the swimming, how to swim. Or even if you've forgotten the swimming, you've not swim for many years, test the water current. Initially, it will be very cold. Even if it's in the summer, even in the summer, the pool water will be cold to you because your body is not tuned to it. You take a deep dive. In 5 minutes, you'll get that, you get a cool normal. You realize that? That's like this examination pattern, right? Initially, it'll be tough. I know that. A lot of doubts in your mind, right? Of course, even if I talk this kind of a confidence with confidence level, you still have a doubt. I know that because I'm you. I come from same background, right? I couldn't trust anybody. Oh, this is his job. Guys, I'm a very practical person. I can tell you from my experiences. If I could do that, you can easily do that. If I can convert to my traditional journey of 15 years into the Agile journey, guys, you can do that as well. Come on. It's no big deal. No big deal. And then once you get into Agile, go to discipline Agile. Why not? That's another beautiful, I would rather say toolkit. It's not a framework methodology, but it's a toolkit. Sriram asked, how do they decide whether you cleared or not? A good question, Sriram. So they have a rating, right? They internally must have the percentage, but they never disclose percentage. There were 4 grades: above target, target, below target, and need improvement. If you're anything on target or above target, you're pass. If you fall under category, below target or need improvement, you're gone. You need to repeat. Very simple. So there are no marks needed here. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Udaya. Any more questions? Otherwise, the guys will curse me left, right, center. It's 30 minutes plus, but don't worry, you'll keep seeing me. Any more question that I can help you with? Finally, no, if there is no question, Rohidas, shall I give you my honest answer? 180. Though there is no formal PMI, not published formal passing score. Anything 85% plus would be better. I'll tell you. Target minimum 85% with us of 180. Target that at least. You'll cherish your hard work. Don't worry about it. You'll cherish. I also had to get recertified in this entire new pattern. I also cherish my experience. Initially, I thought, okay, it's going to be, a lot of things in Agile is going to be difficult. I realized that. Same with 7th edition, guys. Those who are PMP certified, go through the 7th edition now, since you are already certified. Right? It's not difficult. I saw that. In fact, I would find much more practical now. Who are the contributors? People like you and I, right? Those volunteers, about 3,000-4,000 volunteers would have, gathered from 1.15 million PMP certified folks and build the 7th edition, right? It's not anybody else. So I'm sure some practical insights would have kept in based on 6th edition, isn't it? Make it more lively. All the best to, and the guys, thank you so much for asking questions and still plodding around with me. That's incredible. Thank you so much. I could see people, they don't leave. As if I'm going to give them a certificate of PMP right away. I wish I could. Free of cost to you. I can't. But I can give these snippets on a serious note. Whatever I spoke, absolutely based on my experience, whatever Robin spoke based on his experience, Chetan spoke based on his experience, and let's hear back from some more folks like you next time from your experiences. I'm sure the next webinar, you would have got your PMP certification. With that note, guys, I'll bring the session to an end. Right? Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you around sometime. Okay. Till the time, wish you all the best, everybody. Wish you good luck. Indeed. Right? Inshallah. Thank you so much, guys.